Welcome back to the Denver Broncos Mile High View. No commercials, no bullshit. Now, I started doing these YouTube recordings for the fact that I got sick and tired of the mindlessness, one-way directionness of sports talk radio. Now, normally I don't get, too pissed off at Sandy Clough, but I do on occasion. And this is one of them. Now, Sandy, I totally respect some of the things that you put out there. And I can understand you talking over some of the idiots out there when they're talking. I completely get it. But you got to knock the bullshit off with John Elway. I mean, yes, you tell us that we should criticize him, but yet you really don't criticize what he's doing. And then you spend about a half of your show trying to pound in our head that there's no GM like John Elway because he's had just a remarkable 5 years. Well, the problem with that is hasn't been all John Elway. And where we are now with John Elway is a soloist. You go on and on with John Elway as if he was doing everything single-handedly, or he started out doing everything single-handedly. It was all him. So let's just get the record straight here. When we're talking about John Elway in his first 5 years. There was this guy, his name is Pat Bowlen, and he brought in another guy, or was instrumental in bringing in another guy. His name happened to be Peyton Manning. That was not all on John Elway. Peyton Manning had a press conference, and he spent a tremendous amount of time discussing how how Pat Bowlen was instrumental in bringing him in. It wasn't just John Elway. So do you really honestly think that last year, let's just say that instead of Case Keenum, John Elway by himself and Joe Ellis, the two of them would have been able to bring in Peyton Manning? You really think? So everything hinges from the guy wearing number 18. Okay? When it regards to this six, okay, yes, they were able to put Tim Tebow in and John Fox, and yes, they did good with that. But do you think you'd get 5 years from that? No. You had to bring in Peyton Manning, but Elway would have never done that without Pat Bowlen. Okay, this is not a John Elway bash, but what I'm doing is I'm keeping it real. I'm giving the full story here. And what really ticks me off is that, you're up there for the last few shows acting as if you'll say, well, he deserves criticism, but then you go on and on about the virtues of what a wonderful job John Elway's done, as if he did it by himself. Yes, he deserves credit, but within perspective. Right now, he's soloing it, him and Ellis. So that's what we have now. He doesn't have Pat Bowlen anymore. He doesn't have Peyton Manning anymore. And what really ticks me off is when you start saying how he turned the defense around. When everybody knows he did not want... Well, first of all, do you really think Aqib Talib? Do you really think T.J. Ward? Do you really think that the next year free agent was Darian Stewart and some of the other defenders? Do you think any of them would have came in? Right now, do you think any of them would come in under the circumstance? Or is it because there was a guy named 18 on the other side of the football field? So John Elway just didn't do this by himself, Sandy. So let's keep it real. Let's stop bullshitting, okay? That's why I say no bullshit on my show. If we call it a show, just, no bullshit. I don't have a radio show, but that's why I'm doing this. I'm sick of it. Then what pisses me off is you got people talking about how Elway turned around and won the Super Bowl with defense. Well, here's the thing. The truth is, who really did that? Okay, free agents brought in because Peyton Manning was there, not because Elway. And there was a guy, let's not forget, his name is Wade Phillips, as a coach that Elway didn't even want. He wanted Joseph, excuse me. He wanted Vance Joseph. And it was Pat Bowlen's insistence, is the way I understand it from your own talk radio programs, who said no and was insistent to bring Wade Phillips in as one of his last acts before he completely went under. Pat Bowlen. So quit bullshitting and saying, well, you know, he did do this. Well, yes, he did, but there's an asterisk there. He did it with the help of Pat Bowlen, Peyton Manning, and Wade Phillips. He doesn't have any of those people anymore. And granted, you know, if I wish Pat Bowlen was still alive, because I think that John Elway and Pat Bowlen were definitely a force to be reckoned with. And I think they still would be a force to be reckoned with. But Elway cannot do this on his own. And, you know, I don't think any GM would out there, and I agree with you with that, would be able to do it all on his own. But don't sit there and try to, you know, make us think that, you know, us criticizing Elway is a reflection on, you know, we're crazy to do that. You know, you're kind of saying that. Even though you're saying we should be able to criticize him, you're really saying that we can't because he did 5 great years off the bat. Nobody else has done that. Well, okay, but he had help. Okay, it wasn't him by himself. And he wouldn't, let's just say if he started now, like, there's no way that would repeat itself. He's not going to do it on himself because he can't do it by himself. So, you know, the problem is it's not all Elway. It's just, you know, Pat Bowlen should have had something set up just in case if there was a car accident or whatever. The kids wouldn't be able to fit in there right away. He'd have something set up as a plan B. And I understand the trust was the big idea, but give me a break. You know, he should have been, you know, maybe every owner. Maybe some owners can shift it to their kids. But when you're in a position you can't, you got this lag time. You know, something should have been done to be able to change the ownership. You know, as as an emergency. And there's no saying that would have done any good. But the fact of the matter is John Elway is not doing a good job by himself. And the last 3 years clearly show, I mean, these are really bad decisions. Pat Bowlen kept a really bad decision. Do you think there would have been a Super Bowl victory without Wade Phillips if Vance Joseph was there?
Bullshit.
So you can't give Elway all the credit for this. You got to put this all in perspective. All right, I'm out.